New York, September 2024. A shocking announcement was broadcast from the Queens District Attorney's Office. Haiyan Deng, 33 years old, a Chinese woman, officially pleaded guilty to murdering her lover in a case that occurred 3 years ago. Many details had been left unanswered for a long time, but now, as the truth is revealed, the public is left in shock. A secret affair, a scheme for financial gain, and a crime hidden for years. Haiyan Deng not only committed murder, but also used her unborn child to manipulate her lover, attempting to force him to divorce and pay a huge sum of money. When she failed, she ruthlessly killed him. What drove this woman to such extremes? How did she manage to evade capture for 3 years? Like and subscribe to our channel as we uncover the full details of this shocking case. 5 p.m. September 23, 2024, to state of New Mexico. A regular afternoon on Interstate 40, near the town of Edgewood. Patrol Officer Rebecca Lane was on her usual shift when she spotted a silver SUV parked by the roadside. Inside was an Asian woman with a worried expression. As Rebecca approached, the woman, speaking limited English, explained that her tire was flat and she was waiting for a friend to help. Rebecca offered assistance, but the woman quickly refused, insisting she would be fine. Not wanting to pressure her, Rebecca returned to her patrol car, assuming it was a minor issue. However, hours later, during her night patrol, Rebecca was stunned to see the same SUV still there. The woman remained by the roadside, now looking even more anxious. Something was wrong. This time, Rebecca decided to stop and approach. She gently asked, "You're still here? Is your friend reliable? Is he bringing the tire?" The woman looked confused, slowly pulled out her phone, pointed at a location on the screen, and asked, "Can you take me here?" Rebecca immediately hesitated. The destination was near the US-Mexico border, an area notorious for smuggling, human trafficking, and organized crime. This was too risky. Unsure whether the woman was truly in trouble or hiding something, Rebecca's instincts as a cop made her cautious. She decided to check the SUV before doing anything else. If needed, she would take the woman to a safe location in town and call for roadside assistance. Following protocol, Rebecca reported the vehicle's license plate to dispatch. She had no idea that within seconds, a shocking truth would emerge. On the other end, the dispatcher's voice came through. "This Pennsylvania license plate matches a vehicle on the National Wanted list. The suspect is linked to a homicide in New York, identified as Haiyan Deng." Rebecca's eyes locked to the woman standing before her. Was she just a stranded traveler? Or a cold-blooded murderer on the run? Worse yet, Rebecca's radio was on speaker mode. The woman had undoubtedly heard everything. Despite her limited English, she recognized the words, "New York." No further explanation was needed. The woman's expression changed instantly. Her eyes darted nervously, revealing her rising tension. Officer Rebecca Lane remained calm, pretending to continue assisting with the flat tire. She adjusted her tone to avoid alarming the woman, while subtly trying to stall for time by engaging in casual conversation. Moments later, sensing danger, the woman began showing signs of nervousness. She clutched her coat collar, shivered slightly, and stammered, "It's so cold. I need to get another jacket from my car." Rebecca didn't take her eyes off her. A fall night in New Mexico wasn't cold enough for that. She immediately understood. The woman was either trying to escape or retrieve something from the car. "Stay right there. I'll get your jacket for you." Rebecca stepped forward, blocking the car door. Her voice remained calm, but her sharp gaze delivered an unspoken warning. The woman froze. Then suddenly, her demeanor shifted completely. From shivering with cold, she became agitated, her face flushing with anger. She yelled in broken English, "Why won't you let me in my car? I did nothing wrong." Her voice was sharp, her hands flailing wildly. Rebecca stood her ground, not moving an inch. "Calm down. I just want to make sure you're safe." But the woman refused to listen. In a panic, she lunged at Rebecca, trying to reach the car door. She yanked at the handle, but it was locked. At this point, there was no doubt she was attempting to flee. Rebecca immediately grabbed her radio. "I need backup. Suspect is trying to escape." The woman became even more aggressive, forcing Rebecca to pull out her handcuffs, deciding to arrest the suspect on the spot. But the woman didn't go down easily. As Rebecca grabbed her arm, she broke free, shoving Rebecca, and fought back fiercely. A struggle broke out right on the highway. Cars continued speeding by, engines roaring, drowning out the woman's screams. "Stay down!" Rebecca shouted, trying to restrain the suspect, but she continued to fight back wildly. While Rebecca struggled to restrain the suspect, a passerby witnessed the scuffle and quickly pulled over. A middle-aged man stepped out of his pickup truck and rushed in to assist the officer. 2 against 1. Finally, with the stranger's help, Rebecca managed to subdue the suspect. Immediately after, her eyes turned toward the silver SUV. A nationally wanted fugitive stood before her. So what could be inside the car? Inside, there was a strange, pungent smell, a mix of sweat, cheap perfume, and something that resembled gunpowder. Sure enough, on the passenger seat lay a loaded handgun. Additionally, the police found a box of cash, fake documents, and a shattered phone. Within hours, footage of the arrest spread rapidly across social media. High-end social media accounts were dug up, revealing images of her flaunting a lavish lifestyle, extravagant parties, luxurious vacations, and designer goods. The glamorous Instagram persona starkly contrasted with her disheveled appearance at the time of her arrest. The heavily edited photos made many wonder, if not for the license plate, would the police have even recognized her? She had traveled thousands of miles, nearing the Mexican border, where U.S. security checks were notoriously lax. If she had abandoned the car and crossed on foot, she could have completely disappeared. But instead of acting like a professional fugitive, Hyen chose to stand by the roadside, in the dead of night, waiting for someone. So what exactly was she running from, and what sentence did she face? Let's take a deeper look into her story. Born on January 30th, 1990, in a poor village in Guangdong, China, Hyen Den grew up dreaming of escaping poverty, like many young people in the region. Moving abroad, earning money, and sending it home to build a house, that was the path many villagers chose, regardless of whether the means were legal or not. In late 2015, Hyen entered the US on a B2 tourist visa. But everyone knew she wasn't there for sightseeing. Her first destination after landing wasn't a hotel or a relative's house, but Flushing, New York, the heart of the Chinese immigrant community. There, Hyen began her career in the flower-selling industry. With her attractive face and slim figure, she quickly caught the attention of high-end nightclubs. Initially, she was just a hostess, but thanks to her charm and ambition, Hyen climbed the ranks to become a manager, a madam. Her job now wasn't just entertaining clients, but managing a team of hostesses, arranging VIP customers, and taking a cut of the profits. Money flowed in, and her lifestyle became increasingly extravagant. But there was one big problem: her tourist visa had expired. Choosing to stay illegally, Hyen entered a world full of risks and violence, where without a solid footing, she could be swept away at any moment. Women like Hyen didn't just have to evade law enforcement, but also had to contend with criminal gangs within the Chinese community. In Flushing, there was an unspoken rule: either be strong or be prey. It was a dangerous game, but Hyen adapted. She became a crucial link in Flushing's underground business network, knowing how to gain favor with powerful figures while being ready to betray them when necessary. Despite living in the US for over 5 years, Hyen Den never learned to speak English. Whether it was a lack of ability or sheer laziness, her poor language skills were evident in her clumsy, broken sentences during her arrest. Her entire world revolved around Flushing, where she could easily navigate life in Chinese, work, and socialize without integrating into American culture. But on social media, Hyeon crafted a completely different image. On TikTok, she appeared as a wealthy, stylish socialite, posting numerous videos flaunting cash and designer goods. She even uploaded videos of herself practicing shooting at a gun range. Ironically, what seemed like mere showmanship would later become a crucial element in her murder case. Just as everything seemed to be going her way, the COVID-19 pandemic struck, delivering a severe blow to the nightlife industry and causing Hyeon's income to plummet. But financial struggles weren't her biggest fear. Her greatest concern was her illegal status in the US. The US government was tightening immigration policies. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, crackdowns became more frequent, particularly targeting illicit brothels. To solve this problem, most women in Hyeon's situation chose the same solution, marrying a US citizen. According to a former roommate, in just 2 years, Hyeon had cycled through at least 10 boyfriends. Most were former clients. But these relationships never lasted. In the nightlife scene, men liked to rescue good girls and encourage bad girls to reform, but none wanted a long-term commitment. They might enjoy the thrill, but the moment they sensed a risk of responsibility, they would disappear. Hyeon was no exception. She repeatedly failed to secure a stable relationship until she met Justin Lee, a man 5 years younger than her. Looking back, Justin Lee's parents were also immigrants from Fujian. They worked hard in Flushing, living frugally so they could eventually open a large Chinese restaurant in East New York. Thanks to their cooking skills and sharp business sense, they gradually escaped poverty, eventually obtaining green cards and bringing their son to the US from China. But Justin Lee was nothing like his parents. He was pampered from a young age, growing up in luxury. To make up for their years of separation, his parents spared no expense on their son. They bought him designer clothes, enrolled him in expensive private schools, and allowed him to live the life of a spoiled rich kid. Unlike most men who frequented nightclubs in search of young women, Justin was more interested in older, more experienced women. That was precisely why he was drawn to Hyeon Deng, and from this moment, Hyeon saw her chance for a better life. With a wealthy, generous man who was infatuated with her, Hyeon saw Justin Lee as an opportunity she couldn't afford to miss. She dedicated all her efforts to winning Justin over, making him feel special and unable to leave her. But the happy times didn't last long. Hyeon discovered a truth that posed a major obstacle to her plans. Despite being young, Justin Lee was already married with 2 children. His wife was a 22-year-old woman, and they had been married for 4 years. Determined not to lose her grip, Hyeon continued to pull Justin closer. She gave him her full attention, doing everything possible to maintain their relationship. She even started publicly posting intimate moments with Justin on social media. Hyeon's posts painted the picture of a devoted couple, despite the fact that Justin had never made any long-term promises to her. But no matter how hard Hyeon tried, Justin had no intention of leaving his wife and children. Meanwhile, Hyeon realized she had invested too much time, money, and emotion into Justin without getting the outcome she desired. The situation escalated when Hyeon discovered she was pregnant. She then demanded that Justin divorce his wife and marry her. Instead of panicking or making a quick decision, Justin remained cold and non-committal, delaying any response. Hyeon's frustration grew. She knew she couldn't continue working in nightclubs with her pregnancy becoming more obvious. So she started increasing the pressure on Justin, frequently faking stomach pains to keep him by her side. But Justin Lee's wife wasn't fooled. His Mexican wife hired a private investigator to track her husband's activities and quickly discovered Hyeon's apartment. Without hesitation, the wife decided to take action. She showed up at Hyeon's apartment unannounced. The moment she saw her husband's mistress, she lunged at her. Hyeon, not one to back down, fought back fiercely. A violent altercation erupted between the two women, one the legal wife and the other the pregnant mistress. Justin Lee was completely helpless, unable to intervene. Hyeon's terrified roommate, witnessing the chaos, immediately called the police. The police arrived quickly, breaking up the fight and arresting all three involved. However, since Hyeon couldn't afford bail, she was held in custody for a few days. Due to her illegal residency status, she was required to report to immigration authorities regularly and was prohibited from going near Justin Lee's wife. Without a stable income, Hyeon was forced to return to working in nightclubs, but this time, she had to constantly change locations to avoid detection. Her life became filled with anxiety and instability, far from the luxurious lifestyle she once had. As her pregnancy advanced, so did her financial needs. She realized that Justin Lee would never divorce his wife to marry her. So, instead of clinging to a hopeless love, Hyeon bluntly demanded $500,000 from Justin Lee. She called it compensation for emotional distress and wasted time spent with him. She promised that, if he paid the money, she would take care of the pregnancy and disappear from his life forever. However, Justin Lee, who had been spoiled all his life, had never been forced to make such a significant decision on the spot. He didn't want to lose money, but he also wasn't brave enough to cut ties with Hyeon completely. They continued negotiating, but the bargaining dragged on without resolution. Tensions escalated, and every meeting turned into a heated argument. Then, suddenly, on September 19, 2021, Justin Lee vanished without a trace. The police in Queens, New York, received a missing person report. The one who filed it was Justin Lee's wife. But unlike most missing person cases, she had a strong suspicion of where her husband might be. A few days before his disappearance, Justin and his wife had a heated argument at home. She had discovered that he was still secretly seeing Hyeon. Enraged, Justin Lee stormed out of the house without saying a word. He also turned off his phone, cutting off all contact. His wife suspected that he had gone to Hyeon for comfort. This wasn't the first time, but this time, 3 days had passed with no news, which was unusual. Even Justin's parents were unable to reach him. Sensing something was wrong, his wife finally decided to report him missing to the police. Understanding the situation, the police dispatched 2 officers to Hyeon's apartment to investigate. As soon as they stepped into the hallway, a faint, strange odor lingered in the air. Hyeon's roommate informed them that she hadn't seen Hyeon for 2 days. The door to Hyeon's bedroom was locked from the inside. The officers knocked multiple times, but there was no response. Left with no other choice, they decided to break down the door. The scene inside left them stunned. On the bed, a human-shaped object was tightly wrapped in a bedsheet. Blood stains had dried on the mattress, indicating that the incident had happened hours earlier. The overwhelming stench was suffocating. There was no doubt. Forensic experts were immediately called to the scene. When the sheet was removed, the body of a male victim was revealed. His body was covered in bruises, showing signs of an attack. The cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head. Based on the level of decomposition and rigor mortis, forensic experts estimated the time of death to be between 24 and 48 hours earlier. All valuables had been taken from the victim. The police reviewed the building's parking lot security cameras. Footage showed that 3 nights earlier, Justin Lee had driven a white Audi to Hyeon's apartment. After that, he was never seen leaving the apartment. The following morning, the camera captured a woman wearing a face mask leaving the apartment. She drove the white Audi away and never returned. Her body shape and facial features were unmistakable. It was Hyeon Deng. But now, Hyeon was also missing. The police immediately issued a nationwide arrest warrant. All evidence pointed to the fact that Hyeon had failed to reach a financial agreement with Justin Lee. In a fit of rage, she killed him, stole his belongings, and fled. The police visited the nightclub where Hyeon worked to gather information from her colleagues. Some witnesses reported that, days before the incident, Hyeon had asked about purchasing a gun. She claimed that there had been a rise in robberies targeting female hostesses and that she wanted a firearm for self-defense. Without proper documentation, Hyeon had to pay 3 times the market price to buy a handgun on the black market. The caliber and firing range of the gun matched the weapon used in Justin Lee's murder. Another critical detail emerged. Hyeon had told her colleagues that even if Justin agreed to give her money, she would not stay in the US. Her plan was to head north to Canada and start a new life. The police immediately alerted all US-Canada border checkpoints and intensified their search. But days passed, and there was still no trace of Hyeon. That's when the police realized a crucial detail. Without US citizenship, a green card, or legal documents, crossing into Canada was nearly impossible. It would be like walking straight into the hands of the authorities. They began to suspect that the Canada escape plan was a deliberate distraction. The real destination was likely the southern border, toward Mexico, where security was much more lenient. But if that were the case, why didn't she flee back to China? Hyeon's roommate revealed a shocking secret. Years ago, following the advice of a shady broker, Hyeon had destroyed her Chinese passport to apply for asylum. As a result, her asylum request was denied, and she lost her only form of identification. Without a passport, she couldn't board a flight back to China. At that moment, the police received a report from Pennsylvania linked to the case. It turned out that the white Audi Hyeon used to escape didn't belong to Justin Lee. In fact, it was registered to a friend of his named Mr. Wang. Due to his extravagant spending habits, Justin's parents had confiscated his car over the years. As a result, Justin had to borrow vehicles from friends to maintain his image. When Mr. Wang learned about Justin's disappearance, he checked the car's location using the GPS tracking system. He discovered that the vehicle was moving south along the interstate highway. Mr. Wang then remotely disabled the car, preventing it from starting. The vehicle was later abandoned in a parking lot in Houston, Texas. When the police arrived to inspect the car, they found a small amount of blood inside. Tests confirmed that it was Justin Lee's blood. Surveillance footage showed that when Hyeon realized the car had been locked, she appeared extremely distressed. She made multiple phone calls. A short while later, a middle-aged man arrived. He requested to remain anonymous, but later admitted to the police that he was a regular client of Hyeon. In a state of panic, Hyeon offered him a large sum of money to rent a car for her. The man believed Hyeon was fleeing from a gang. Driven by greed, he agreed to help. He rented a silver Honda CR-V and handed it over to Hyeon. The moment she received the car, she sped off, heading straight toward the Mexican border. After traveling 3,000 kilometers, when the vehicle suffered a flat tire, Hyeon's escape came to an end. The New Mexico police had just carried out one of the most dramatic arrests of the year. 2 months later, she was extradited back to New York to attend her first court hearing. In court, Hyeon remained completely silent, only denying the charges. But one detail shocked the public. Hyeon's pregnancy was visibly evident. A later report confirmed that she had given birth in April 2022. But who was the child's father? That remains an unsolved mystery. On September 18, 2024, the Queen's District Attorney officially announced that Hyeon Deng had pleaded guilty. Melinda C., the Queen's District Attorney, stated, "A life was senselessly taken, and the defendant now faces a long prison sentence for her actions." The court sentenced Hyeon Deng to 27 years in prison, bringing an end to the fugitive's 3-year run. Perhaps, if she had stayed in her homeland, none of this would have happened. This concludes the video. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so we can bring you more strange and emotional stories.